Rising infection numbers, alarming death toll, and health problems linked to long COVID are major concerns still clouding people's lives around the world. US President Joe Biden's astonishing declaration last month that the pandemic is over raised further doubt among medical experts and the media. Does the living with COVID policy really solve the problem? What is the hidden cost of long COVID? The COVID-19 death toll in the US is still higher than for the flu, which kills about 50,000 people in a severe season. According to the latest report from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, total COVID-19 deaths have surpassed 230,000 this year, equal to more than 300 per day. In addition to the rising death toll, many survivors still suffer from the physical and mental effects of long COVID. As of late September, the CDC has determined that 15% of adults previously infected with COVID-19 were experiencing symptoms of long COVID. A study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association linked more than 200 ailments to long COVID. 3.7% of patients had ongoing respiratory problems, 3.2% had persistent fatigue with bodily pain or mood swings, and 2.2% had cognitive problems 3 months post-infection.
After 3 weeks of barely sleeping more than an hour a night, her brain was really compromised. And like prisoners of war who are kept awake, it affects their cognitive ability, and she became extremely despondent and hopeless.
And it was when the apathy that set in, that's when I could sense I was in danger, because I would find myself not caring if I woke up the next day. I was in so much pain that I quite literally fantasized about the million ways that I would end my life.
Long-haul symptoms are not the only health threat to COVID survivors. Diabetes and life-threatening conditions such as heart attacks, strokes, and kidney damage are more common in COVID patients than in those who avoid the pandemic. Long COVID has also severely impacted sufferers socially and economically. A Brookings Institute report published in August found that around 60 million working-age Americans have long COVID, of which 2 to 4 million are out of work. The cost of those lost wages is around $170 billion a year. The report also warns that these numbers stand to worsen over time if the US does not take the necessary policy steps. A Bloomberg opinion article called long COVID a parallel pandemic and said that the cost of living with COVID is much heftier than predicted. Despite these ominous circumstances, CDC data shows that less than 35% of eligible Americans have received the first booster, which is lower than at least 70 other countries. Evidently, the rollout is still being hampered by lingering confusion around the updated Omicron vaccine's benefits and eligibility. COVID is not over. If hundreds of millions die or become debilitated, should we still choose to live with COVID?